The NBA should be terrified of this Dame and Giannis pairing. When it's all said and done, both guys are going to go down as all-time great players, but for completely different reasons. Dame being one of the best perimeter scorers in NBA history, while Giannis is one of the most dominant downhill/paint scorers the league has ever seen. With all the legendary duos that we've had throughout the NBA, I don't think we've ever had a pair that's this balanced out, and equally dominant in completely different areas. So for Giannis, he's never played with a guard who has the range or shot-making ability that Damian has. Besides one player, I think Lillard is easily the best off-the-dribble three-point shooter in NBA history, being comfortable pulling up going both right and left, while having a variety of separation moves in his bag, and being able to do all that from insane range.
The other way. It's open now. Deep three. Another one, Damian Lillard.
Now what I think really makes Dame special as an outside shooter is his ability to quickly attack into open space, but then find his base to rise up for a stable jumper. This play here is pretty tough. You'll see Lillard come off and split the screen, and 99% of guards from here would normally attack into this open space, but Dame instead stops on a dime and elevates up for a three. And what's also crazy is that Damian gets into his shot so fast that these two defenders behind him don't even have a chance of disrupting his shot. Now because Dame is such a huge outside scoring threat, he stretches the defense out well beyond the three, which then opens up Lillard's playmaking. Now I wouldn't put Dame in the elite class of NBA passers, but in pick and roll he is really good at hitting these pocket passes. Watch him here pivot across with his right foot to then sneak the ball through this tight gap with his inside hand.
Lillard already with 13 points.
So with Lillard, it's this simple push and pull effect. If the big is sag deep and drop, Dame's gonna light you up from three. But if the big comes up and plays aggressive, Damian will either blow past them or punish the defense with his playmaking. But throughout Dame's career, he's never had a rolling or downhill scoring threat quite like Giannis. And in return, the Freak has never played with a guard who can extend the defense the same way Dame does. So it's pretty obvious at this point that the Freak is easily one of the best paint scorers in the game today. But throughout his career, Giannis has had to primarily attack against his set defense, which of course can work because of how dominant he is. But overall, it can make things a little bit more difficult. Now to be fair, I am a big fan of Jrue Holiday, but Jrue is just simply not the same caliber of shooter that Dame is. And because of that, the Holiday and Giannis pick and roll game did have its limitations. Because Jrue did most of his damage in the mid-range, as well as around the basket, opposing teams did find some success leaving their bigs in drop, while also having the other defenders off the ball shrink the floor, which in return made the paint way more crowded, allowing the defense to easily funnel Giannis into outside shots. So because the Bucks never really had an elite pull-up shooter from range, having Giannis as a screen and roll man was never a big staple of their offense. Last year, just 6% of Giannis' total possessions came as a roller in pick and roll, so most of Giannis' possessions in the half court were initiated by him, either in isolation, post-ups, or as a pick and roll ball handler. So the truth is, Giannis has been creating a vast majority of his own offense, which like we saw last year against the Heat can have its limitations. First, because the Freak is primarily a downhill rim scorer, and that in return makes it pretty easy for defenses to load up in the paint and wall up Giannis with all 5 guys. And second is Giannis has never been a reliable free throw shooter, which really affects his ability to control and close games.
Had a huge game off the bench for the Sixers.
But I think adding Dame addresses all these problems. First, because Lillard can give Giannis both space and advantages to attack. Notice on all these plays how sagged back Miami's defense is. And again, Giannis is put in a situation where he has to attack against a set defense, which is always going to be an uphill battle if you don't have a reliable jump shot. But again, Damian's presence on the floor stretches defenses to its breaking point, and this will give Giannis both space and momentum to absolutely butcher defenses. Like on this play, watch how Dame pulls a double team 30 feet from the basket, and imagine Giannis catching here with all this space. Now what's also important to mention is that Giannis is also a big time passer himself, and that skill set is going to be extremely valuable for the Bucks next year. Because Dame and Giannis are going to most likely be impossible to cover and pick and roll, so in response, weak side defenders are going to shift over and help. And this is where the Freak's playmaking is going to be huge. Right here, watch Giannis catch on the short roll, and notice how the Heat's defense from the weak side shifts over, but Giannis is able to see and make the next play for a layup. Now similar to the way that Dame's presence will make life easier for Giannis, the Freak's presence as a roller will also have its own gravitational pull. Notice here how Zion doesn't want to fully commit to Holiday, because he also has to respect Giannis who's rolling downhill, and this gives Drew a clear runway to the basket. So overall, I think that both Lillard and Giannis' game will perfectly fit and feed into each other, and this is definitely going to be both a fun and interesting team to watch going into this season. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.